For over 30 years, millions of Americans ended their day with one man. He made them laugh, he made them think, and with a single raised eyebrow, he could turn silence into comedy. Johnny Carson wasn't just the host of The Tonight Show, he was America's late-night monarch. But behind the sharp suits, clever wit, and effortless charm, Carson lived a life that few ever saw. While the public adored his on-screen charisma, behind the curtain, he was quietly building something extraordinary. A vast, secret empire of wealth, power, and influence that extended far beyond television. This is the untold story of how Johnny Carson, the king of late night, became one of Hollywood's most private yet powerful figures, and how he turned fame into fortune without anyone realizing it. From Nebraska to NBC, the rise of a legend. Johnny Carson's journey began in Corning, Iowa in 1925, but it was in Norfolk, Nebraska, where his love for performance first took shape. A shy, intelligent boy, Carson discovered early that humor could open doors. He began performing magic tricks at local events under the name The Great Carsoni, charging small fees to entertain neighbors. After serving in the U.S. Navy during World War II, he attended the University of Nebraska, majoring in speech and radio. His natural timing, voice, and wit made him a standout talent in an era when television was just beginning to shape modern entertainment. In the 1950s, Carson moved to Los Angeles, working as a writer for radio and early TV shows. His break came when Red Skelton recognized his talent and hired him as a writer for The Red Skelton Show. Carson's on-screen charm quickly caught attention, and in 1955, he got his own program, The Johnny Carson Show. It was short-lived, but NBC saw something special: a sharp mind with impeccable comedic instincts. When Jack Paar stepped down from The Tonight Show in 1962, NBC took a risk and handed the desk to the 36-year-old Carson. The rest was television history. The Tonight Show revolution. When Johnny Carson took over The Tonight Show, he reinvented television. His calm confidence, improvisational wit, and ability to make both guests and audiences feel at ease transformed late-night entertainment forever. Over the next 3 decades, Carson turned The Tonight Show, starring Johnny Carson, into a nightly ritual for millions. From his first monologue to the final "Good night," he set the gold standard for every late-night host who followed, from Jay Leno and David Letterman to Jimmy Fallon and Stephen Colbert. But while Carson's humor seemed effortless, behind the curtain, he was a perfectionist. Every segment, every joke, every camera angle was carefully crafted. He ran The Tonight Show with military precision and complete creative control. A rare power in an industry dominated by networks, his success gave him leverage, and Carson knew how to use it. By the late 1960s, he was NBC's most valuable asset, generating millions in revenue. But unlike many celebrities who simply basked in fame, Carson was already thinking several moves ahead. He didn't just want to be a performer, he wanted to be the owner, the quiet businessman. Few people realized that Johnny Carson was not only a brilliant entertainer, but also a shrewd businessman. In 1969, he founded his own production company, Carson Productions, giving him full ownership of The Tonight Show library and syndication rights, an unheard-of deal at the time. It was a move inspired by another Hollywood visionary, Lucille Ball, who had done something similar with Desilu Productions. By owning his content, Carson ensured that every rerun, every clip, and every special appearance would generate income directly for him. Carson Productions didn't stop at The Tonight Show. The company went on to produce hit television programs such as Magnum, P.I., The Big Chill, and Amen. These projects diversified his portfolio, quietly turning Carson into a behind-the-scenes mogul. At the same time, he invested wisely in real estate, buying properties in Malibu, Beverly Hills, and later, a sprawling estate in Malibu Colony. Unlike many of his Hollywood peers, Carson avoided lavish public spending. His philosophy was simple: stay private, stay smart, and let the money work for you. Fame, fortune, and frustration. By the 1970s, Johnny Carson was earning a reported $4 million a year, an enormous sum for the era. And by the 1980s, his income exceeded $20 million annually. He had become one of the highest-paid entertainers in history. Yet, despite his fame and wealth, Carson remained deeply private, almost reclusive. He rarely gave interviews, avoided Hollywood parties, and shunned the public eye outside of his show. Carson's marriages also reflected the tension between his public and private selves. He married 4 times, each relationship strained by his demanding schedule and emotional distance. He often joked about his divorces on air, turning personal pain into comedic gold. But behind the humor lay a man who struggled to balance success with connection. Even as he built one of the most successful careers in entertainment, his personal life remained complex and often lonely. The power behind the curtain. By the early 1980s, Carson's empire extended far beyond NBC. His ownership stake in The Tonight Show meant he earned money every time it aired or was syndicated. He invested heavily in the stock market, art, and corporate bonds, often through private accounts that kept his holdings secret from the public. His business manager, Henry Bushkin, whom Carson once described as his lawyer, fixer, and sometimes best friend, helped structure deals that made Carson one of the wealthiest men in entertainment. Carson also renegotiated his NBC contracts with unprecedented control. After a bitter dispute in the early 1980s, he signed a deal that reduced his weekly appearances but gave him ownership of The Tonight Show masters and a cut of advertising revenue. This contract effectively made him the boss of NBC's most profitable program. When his final season ended in 1992, Carson reportedly walked away with an estimated net worth exceeding $300 million, equivalent to over $500 million today. Unlike other television giants, Carson didn't flaunt his wealth. He quietly donated millions to charity, including to the Johnny Carson Foundation, which supported education, environmental causes, and health initiatives. In his hometown of Norfolk, Nebraska, his philanthropy transformed local schools, hospitals, and theaters. It was his way of giving back to the community that shaped him, without the fanfare or headlines. Carson's hidden investments. As technology evolved, Carson continued to expand his hidden empire. He invested early in emerging media and communications ventures, including cable networks and production partnerships that would later shape modern entertainment. Carson Productions profited from distribution deals with major studios and television networks, ensuring a steady stream of revenue long after he left the stage. One of Carson's most valuable assets was his real estate portfolio. His Malibu estate alone, with panoramic ocean views and secluded gardens, became legendary. When it was eventually sold after his death, it fetched over $40 million. He also owned multiple properties in California, New York, and Nebraska, often held through private trusts. These holdings reflected Carson's lifelong obsession with privacy. His empire was hidden in plain sight, visible only to those who knew where to look. The final bow. On May 22, 1992, Johnny Carson walked onto The Tonight Show stage for the final time. His farewell was simple, elegant, and deeply emotional. After 30 years, 4,531 episodes, and countless laughs, he looked into the camera and said, "I bid you a very heartfelt good night." There were no grand speeches, no dramatic endings, just grace and gratitude. When the show ended, America wept. An era was over. But Carson's quiet retirement didn't mean his empire stopped growing. His investments continued to produce income, and his production company remained active for years after his departure. He lived the rest of his life largely out of sight, enjoying sailing, reading, and spending time with close friends in Malibu. His financial discipline and business acumen ensured that his fortune remained intact until his death in 2005 at age 79. After his passing, the true scale of his wealth became public. His estate, valued at approximately $450 million, was distributed among charities, family members, and the Johnny Carson Foundation. To this day, the foundation continues to donate millions annually to causes he supported, keeping his legacy alive in quiet, meaningful ways. Johnny Carson's story isn't just about late-night television. It's about mastering the art of power without spectacle. He transformed The Tonight Show into a cultural institution, built a multi-million-dollar production company, and managed his career with the precision of a Wall Street executive. Yet he did it all without the arrogance or excess that consumed so many of his peers. In the end, Johnny Carson's greatest act wasn't a punchline or a guest interview. It was his ability to create lasting influence while staying invisible. Behind the easy charm and iconic laugh was a man of fierce intelligence and unshakable discipline. He built an empire not of noise, but of quiet strategy, one that continues to thrive long after the applause faded. He showed the world that true power doesn't always stand in the spotlight. Sometimes it sits in silence, counting the laughs, the lessons, and the legacy it leaves behind. Johnny Carson didn't just host late-night television, he conquered it. And he did it all without anyone truly realizing just how powerful he had become.